Hey yo, what is up everybody, Chuck here, and welcome to today's very special Pokemon Go video. We are going to be taking a look at the very best legendary Pokemon raid boss counters. Now with Pokemon Go Fest right around the corner, I don't think we're too far away from legendaries, so without further ado, let's get into it. Now we're not going to be breaking down Gen 2 legendaries today, we're just going to be focusing on Gen 1 because I have a weird feeling that we need to see Gen 1 legendaries before Gen 2. That makes sense, right? So first up, Articuno. Articuno is super vulnerable to Rock-type Pokemon, which will deal super effective damage with Rock-type moves. Now, it's also vulnerable against Fire, Steel, and Electric-type Pokemon, but not quite as much as Rock, so we're going to focus on the Rock-types. And the best Rock-type Pokemon, Golem. In fact, a Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge will be the absolute best counter for Articuno. Now, if you don't have a Golem with that moveset, but you happen to have a Legacy moveset Amistar with Rock Throw and Rock Slide, that is the second best option. Basically, any lineup featuring Golems or Amistars with Rock Throw as their quick move and any other Rock type move as their charge move, you'll be fine. Your next best bet would be a Fire type Pokemon, but a non-flying type Fire type Pokemon, which eliminates Charizard and leaves you with Flareon. Flareon with Fire Spin and Overheat will be your third best option, and your fourth best should you not have any of those three, and for whatever reason you do have a Tyranitar. If you have one with Stone Edge, there's your number 4. So if you encounter an Articuno raid, your 6-man lineup would ideally look something like this. Golem, 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 Amistar with Legacy movesets, or Golem, and then another Golem, and then maybe a Flareon, but preferably another Golem. So literally as you're watching this video, you should start walking and looking for Geodude candy. On to Zapdos. Now Zapdos is an electric and flying type Pokemon, which has a weakness against rock and ice type Pokemon. Now keep in mind when I say ice type, most ice type Pokemon in the game are also water types. So Lapras and Cloyster, they do not count because they will get destroyed by any electric type moves. That leaves rock types and Jinx. So for Zapdos, you're looking at basically an identical lineup except take out Flareon and replace it with the Jinx that knows Avalanche. Just assuming the fact that these raid bosses will have CPs probably upwards of like 40, 50,000, maybe a couple 100,000. Your Jinx won't last long, but it will deal a lot of damage. So your ideal 6-man lineup against a Zapdos will look something like this. Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge, Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge, Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge, and Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge. You can throw a Jinx in there with Frost Breath and Avalanche, although don't expect it to last very long. And also, just like we mentioned with Articuno, and Amistar with Legacy movesets like Rock Throw and Rock Slide, or a Tyranitar with Stone Edge. Seriously, you should be packing your bags for a Geodude excursion after this video is over. You're gonna need the candies. Next up, the final legendary bird, Moltres, a fire and flying type. Now this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. I'm just kidding. Use a rock type against Moltres. Only rock types. Rock types are super effective against fire and flying and resist both fire and flying type moves, so it's a no-brainer. A Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge once again will be your best friend. If you had a 6-man lineup for Moltres, it would look something like this. Golem, 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 Golem. If you're lucky enough to have a Legacy moveset Amistar with rock moves, you can throw one in there as well. But in terms of candies that you should be collecting during the rest of this week leading up to Pokemon Go Fest and whenever the legendary raids will be, you should be saving Geodude candies. Now at the end of the video, when we do kind of a breakdown of all the legendary raid bosses, I'll give you one wildcard Pokemon that you might want to consider using for each of them, so if you don't have Golems, stay tuned. Now on to Mew and Mewtwo, who are both Psychic type Pokemon. They're weak against Bug, Dark, and Ghost types, so we're going to break down all 3 of them, starting with Bug types. And the problem with Bug type Pokemon is there aren't very many good ones. Your best bet is a Pinsir with Bug Bite and X-Scissor, and that's basically it. Okay, I may have forgot something. So I was doing a little bit of research about the movesets that Mew currently knows in Pokemon Go, or is theoretically going to know when they release it. And it turns out right now the only move that Mew can learn as a quick move is Pound, which is a normal type move. Now the reason that's kind of important is because normal type moves are not effective against steel Pokemon. And because Mew is Psychic type and has a weakness against Bug type Pokemon, that kind of introduces Scissor as a viable attacker, as long as it has Bug type moves. Now I may be missing something, so if I'm completely wrong about this and you think Scissor should not be used as an attacker, I would probably actually put it up there with Pinsir in terms of best Bug type Pokemon, so they're kind of interchangeable. But the fact that Mew may only know a normal quick type move may mean that Scissor is actually more viable than Pinsir. Let me know below, just wanted to address this. Okay, back to the video. On to Dark type Pokemon that you might want to use against Mew and Mewtwo. There are basically 3 of them. Umbreon is the least viable of the 3. With a max CP of around 2,000 and a pretty low DPS, it is your 3rd best option for Dark type Pokemon against Mew and Mewtwo, because your 2nd best option will be a Houndoom that knows Dark type moves. It has a higher max CP, does more DPS as long as it knows a move like Snarl and Foul Foul Play, so that makes Houndoom a superior option to Umbreon. But the best Dark-type Pokemon in the game is Tyranitar, so if you feel the need to use a Dark-type, go with a T-Tar. But just make sure it actually has a Dark-type moveset like Bite and Crunch. In fact, later in this video, we're going to be doing a little evolution spree that features Tyranitars and Golems because I need to get myself some good raid boss counters. But Bug and Dark-type Pokemon aside, the absolute best counter for Mew and Mewtwo would be Ghost-type Pokemon, and the best Ghost-type Pokemon is Gengar. Olive, what are you doing? You're stuck. What are you doing? So if you have a Gengar with a Legacy Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball moveset like I do, you're in luck. That is your absolute best option for a counter. Although basically any Gengar moveset that features Shadow Ball, you'll be good to go. Ideal 6-man lineup against a Mew or a Mewtwo would look something like this. Gengar, 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 a Tyranitar with Bite and Crunch, maybe a Houndoom with Snarl and Foul Play, and perhaps a Pinsir with Bug Bite and X-Scissor. One more thing. There are some Pokemon in the game that are just incredibly good attackers. One of those Pokemon is Dragonite. So if you're struggling to put together a team of type-based attackers, you can throw in your Dragonite with Dragon Tail and Outrage, and it'll do just fine, especially against Zapdos and Moltres, although it won't be as useful as, let's say, a Golem against a Moltres. Does that make sense? Like, it's a good attacker, kind of, against everybody, but not as good in each part. Back to the video. However, if for some reason you have 6 Gengars, use all 6 of them. Or 6 Tyranitars with Bite and Crunch, use those. Pinsir should be kind of looked at as like a last resort option should you not have enough Dark or Ghost type Pokemon. And there you have it. It is literally going to be that simple to pick your ideal attackers against these raid bosses. So a quick little breakdown. The number 1 Pokemon to be using against all of these legendary raid bosses will be a Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge, or Rock Throw and Rock Blast. At least in terms of the legendary birds, number 2 will be a Legacy moveset Amistar with Rock Throw and Rock Slide. Now, if you don't have an Amistar with that moveset, kind of just forget about using Amistar against legendaries because it won't be useful. Next up, Tyranitar will probably be your 3rd or 2nd most viable option. Stone Edge against the legendary birds, and Bite and Crunch against Mew and Mewtwo. If you're looking for kind of a wild card to use against these legendary Pokemon because you don't want to be bored to death by using Golems and Tyranitars, against Articuno you want to use a Flareon with Fire Spin, against Zapdos you want to use a Jinx with Avalanche, and against Moltres, get this, a Sudowoodo with Stone Edge. Wouldn't recommend it because it won't last long, but you can try it. And against Mew and Mewtwo, well, let's be real. You're gonna want to use Gengars or Tyranitars or Houndooms with Dark type moves, or I guess maybe a Pinsir. Trying to think of a wild card here. I guess Umbreon would be a wild card, and probably the most easily obtainable counter against a Mew and Mewtwo. So there you have it. You should be collecting Geodude and Larvitar candies the second you get done watching this video. Alright, so we are going to evolve 2 Golems and 2 Tyranitars. I've saved up enough Larvitar candy. I actually haven't evolved a Tyranitar in forever. So here we go. We're going to start with this Graveler right here, and we are hoping for Rock Throw and Stone Edge. Rock Throw and Stone Edge, baby. Rock Throw and Stone Edge. Rock Throw and Stone Edge, baby. Rock Throw and... not Earthquake. Here we have a 10-11, and this one has IVs, I want to say, of around 82%. So that's a good one, and we're going to evolve this one, and what are we hoping for? Rock Throw and Stone Edge. Rock Throw... we're not doing that again. I'm going to get Mud Slap and Earthquake, aren't I? Mud Slap and Rock Blast. Not what we were going for. Alright, well, we've got ourselves 2 new Golems, and neither of them have Rock Throw and Stone Edge. Pupitar. This one has IVs around 70%, I believe. Bite and Crunch, ideally. I know, it sounds really weird saying that, but it'll be really useful against Mew and Mewtwo. Although I really wouldn't mind getting Stone Edge. Here we go, baby! Another Tyranitar for the collection. Let's see what we get here. Iron Tail and Stone Edge. I will take that. Although it's not perfect, I would have actually preferred Bite and Stone Edge or even Bite and Crunch, but at least we got Stone Edge. Basically anything but Fire Blast I will be happy with. Okay, on to this Larvitar, around 80% IVs like I already said. It's actually kind of crazy just how much work can be thrown away while you're evolving Pokemon. Like, collecting 300 Larvitar candies is no piece of cake. It's not like I can just go out and walk around and get that in one day. Like, that takes months at a time. So please tell me Bite and Crunch or Bite and Stone Edge. Bite and Crunch or Bite and Stone Edge. Iron Tail and Stone Edge again. At least we didn't get Fire Blast, which is good. However, Iron Tail and Stone Edge will be probably the most useful moveset against a Pokemon like Articuno, so I guess that's pretty good. But luckily for me, we've got a beautiful Geodude to catch right here. 200 CP, what a beauty. First throw, apparently that wasn't great or good. Whew, thank God. Check the IVs on this bad boy, and it's terrible. Nice. But if this guide was at all helpful for you, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you enjoy Pokemon Go videos and you are excited for Pokemon Go Fest, make sure to subscribe. I will be going there. I've got media access. Thank you very much, Niantic. So I'll be bringing you videos before, on that day, and after that day of Pokemon Go Fest. And hopefully within a week from now, we've got some legendaries to get our hands on. I love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.